parabenizar a equipe toda aí pela vitória, pela resiliência aí que a gente saiu atrás, tomando um gol, a gente, diferente dos outros jogos, a gente conseguiu manter a paciência e virar o jogo aí.
The joy. Hey, welcome everybody. This is Afterburn Soccer. We are live, welcoming you, FC Dallas fans, North Texas soccer fans, to talk about a 6-point weekend. Like, it's been a little bit since we've had one of these. So FC Dallas wins at home against Real Salt Lake 2-1, and North Texas Soccer Club wins against Minnesota United FC2, also 2-1. We're excited. A big weekend for soccer here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Of course, I'm your host, Nathan. You can follow me at Nathan J. Hill, and my buddy with me tonight is Jose Carmona at El Chico Carmona. And we're going to get into it. Buddy? We're going to crack open a cold one and talk and update, catch up all the events and the intriguingness of this weekend's action. So, Jose, let's start with FC Dallas. Obviously, that's probably the folks that are most on our viewers' minds. They had the 1-0 win against Inter Miami at Miami. It was a good result for them. But they came back home where they've had some disappointment this season. So, and really, it looked like it was going to be a disappointing night.
It certainly felt like it.
Yeah.
It's just you're up against a struggling team in Real Salt Lake, and the last time we had a struggling team come here, it was Portland, and that didn't end so well, and you were kind of getting the feeling that's the way this was going, But so glad they pulled it out at the end there with Camungo with the heroics, and let's face it, we've all been waiting for Camungo to do that, to come in and be a difference maker. And, as fans, we got to be excited about that.
Yeah, what a story! There's been a lot of conversation about that within Major League Soccer. Just here's a kid who was a walk-on with MLS Next Pro out of Abilene, Texas, and just has made his mark at the MLS Next Pro level. He's been mostly on the bench this season, but here he comes on and just is in the right place at the right time, puts away a goal that will hopefully surge his confidence and just a big boost to this team. Yeah, because we can look back on this game against Real Salt Lake, and we saw some of the challenges that FC Dallas has been living with, and so we'll let Nico Estevez, our FC Dallas head coach, kind of talk a little bit about those.
During the game, we had to change because it didn't work, and this year we thought it was better to go. I think for moments we did a really good job defending. The problem was with the ball. Like, we were really bad today. And it was there. The spaces were there. As we talked through the week, the goal is coming through a game plan. Exactly. If I show you the slide, the goal is coming from a play like that. Something that we worked this week, and I think we weren't executing well, and we were missing passes. We were missing opportunities to break lines, and we were playing too conservative. And then, when you play like this, the opponent feels that. And smells that, and we have to be brave. We have to go for the second, but sometimes the season is very long, and you don't have your day. And when you don't have your day, what I put in value today is how you respond, how you work hard, and you fight. And as we said, in other sports, if your attack is not good, you have to defend.
Nico acknowledging that for stretches of this match, FC Dallas looked to be on the back foot. They went up on the goal early, and it was a beautiful goal. It was exactly what you draw up. It was a goal that's joyful for Jesus Ferreira, for Giovanni Jesus, but then it seems like Real Salt Lake sort of takes advantage of FC Dallas's willingness to sit back a little bit. And in an earlier clip, I didn't pull it out of the video, but Nico recognized that he didn't want his team to be too aggressive in this one because that's what Real Salt Lake kind of thrives on are those counterattacks, those quick counterattacks. So trying to find the balance, but there's also a sense where it looked like the team was a little too defense minded and wanted to sit back and just see the game out with this 1-goal lead. Is that what you felt, Jose?
Yeah, I think that's what all the fans felt. You jumped out to a 1-0 lead, and then you sat in the mid block, and they were sitting in mid block, and frankly, it became rather boring. I mean, it's not the FC Dallas football we've been used to seeing. And this team has sort of gone more and more to a mid block, and that has something to do with the fact that we're still struggling with our backline. I can tell you that as a fan, that most of the fans I talked to were not very excited that Martinez and Ibiaga were the center back pairing. I mean, that was in my mind. In mind, I'm a very positive person, but I'm like, that's like a guaranteed goal conceded right there. And so, no one is stunned that RSL scored in this. And I'm not putting blame on them. I'm just telling you that's the mentality of the fans, because they're both prone to mistakes, and it's the mid block started to become a necessity as a result of the fact that the team hasn't truly replaced Hedges yet. And if it gets the job done, great.
Yeah.
But I think nobody wants. We're not used to seeing the team just sit back and block and play boring soccer. Winning soccer, of course.
Maybe there's a match where that's your tactic against maybe an opponent that you feel is superior, but that's Real Salt Lake we're against. It's in a home. It felt like after that opening goal that the team should have gone for the second, and so there was something that happened, or and so it's something concerning for FC Dallas fans. Now, ultimately, we saw another great contribution from the bench, and again, Comungo, what a story! But the team kept fighting and found a way to grab that go-ahead goal and then kind of lock things down. Even a late goal waved off for offside that I didn't get a good look at the replays to know whether there was a shout about that, but I think it was a good call. So scary moments. 1 point at home is not what you want, in the course of the season.
Not against the RSL either. And mind you, Comungo, his rise, out of nowhere, it gives credence to those people that have been saying, hey, there's a ton of untapped talent out there that's just going, undiscovered. And Comungo is one of those guys where they're like, hey, 3 years from high school to, scoring in MLS, you got to think there's a lot more talent like that out there. And it's great, I think it's a good inspiration for the team to turn every stone, against such talent, because you don't want to miss out on the next Comungo. And no one's saying Comungo's going to be a star, but you have to be impressed with how quickly he has risen, and we're all excited to see how far this can go.
That's so exciting! It's an amazing story, really, and you hope more of these stories are emerging for FC Dallas and FC Dallas system.
Well, the Comungo story is outshining, Giovanni Jesus' story, who has. I'm sorry, but he's pretty much snatched that starting right back position from Tuamasi. And all it took was Tuamasi to get one red card, miss one game, and you want to see Tuamasi get another shot, but right now, Giovanni Jesus is, he's forcing Nico to start him because it's like this guy is just producing. He's being solid on defense, and he's being a nightmare on attack, and the Jesus to Jesus combination is becoming has potential to be like the signature combination for this team. Really.
I agree. No, I completely agree. Like, isn't that interesting? And it's not that Jesus has gotten into Giovanni Jesus has gotten into more dangerous positions than Tomasi. I think Tomasi has gotten into some very exciting attacking positions, but there does seem to be just this thing missing with that Giovanni Jesus is just willing to rip that cross and at the right time. And can you teach that? I'm sure to some degree, but maybe there's a point where it's talent too. Just the sense of timing of like knowing because that opening goal was beautiful. It was a beautiful
But it's
thing.
consistency and timing. I mean, after his starts now, you have to think that someone like Jesus or Passion or those guys that are trailing, they know that once Giovanni Jesus gets a step on his man, they know that low cross is coming. So as an attacker, knowing that the ball is for sure going to be coming, it just gives you that extra step, that extra confidence to sell out, knowing that, hey, he's got to step on his man. This shot's going to come. I need to get there. And then you see someone like Jesus, a beauty of a shot there, I'm just saying, it's confidence. Tomas, yes, he'd get into dangerous positions, not taking anything away from him. But like, and it's not just him, but like many of the other players that were putting crosses into the box. The aim has been off. They've been inconsistent, and that wears on an attacker. Knowing that, hey, maybe they were in the right position, but ball never came their way or went over their heads, or it didn't get there. So, like I said, Jesus, now everyone knows what he can do, and right now he's feeling it, and the confidence from those attackers is growing in the fact that, hey, this kid is going to do his thing. He's going to get free, and he may only do it once or twice in the game, and we have to be ready for when that time comes. Mm-hmm. And that's all. That's all an attacker needs. That's all they need. Mm-hmm. Confidence in that they'll get the ball in a dangerous position. And right now, Jesus has proven that he can do that. I mean, he's a U21 initiative, man.
Yeah.
You have to be excited that he's doing this now. And mind you, foreign players tend to struggle, and at least in MLS in general, but certainly FC Dallas has a history of players coming in struggling. And it's exciting that Giovanni Jesus is not showing any of that. And for all we know, maybe he is struggling, and if this is him struggling, good grief. Wait till he stops struggling.
Right. Well, let's jump into some other post-game comments from guys, and these are unedited, so I didn't really go over them a lot. But here's Jesus Ferreira after the game.
Big win. That's 2 in a row. Thoughts on tonight's game?
No, we're excited. We're happy with the result. Obviously, we're not happy about the way that the game went. We have to be a team that can dominate at home and take care of business. But it took us to the last minute to be able to score goals, and we're excited for the 3 points. We know how important our subs are, and for them to come and bring energy and make runs, and it's very important for us.
What do you say about Bernard Camonga, his first goal, game winner?
No, we're happy for him. He's a kid that's working hard. Sometimes playing with the second team, dominating the second team, and coming up here and showing what he can do. And so we're excited for him. That's just a start, and he knows that he has to keep working to keep getting those opportunities.
Well, he's saying all the right things.
Yeah, saying all the right things. That professional. He's he's picking up those lessons.
Yeah, no, but he's saying what you want to hear him say, and he's got to prop up Camonga and give him his props. And why would you say anything negative? That's exactly what you want to see from, like you said, from our reserves. The fact that they can come in and make a difference. That's all we want. We want guys that come in and impact the game when they need to be impacted, or offer solid minutes when a lead needs to be taken care of and stuff like that. So, absolutely, he's right.
Yeah. Well, let's shift over then to the second team, as Jesus referred them. North Texas had faced 2 straight losses, and they weren't the kind of losses where you get edged out by a fluke goal. They were just collapses early in the match that really put the team in a position where they had to dig themselves out of a hole that they just didn't have the ability to do. Yeah, I think Coach Javier Cano of North Texas, he said something was like 7 goals in 15 minutes of play or something like that. Just a really difficult run for North Texas. So they come back home. They go down early to a sort of a recycled ball for a Minnesota United team that likes to a Minnesota 2 team that likes to counterattack. In fact, looked pretty dangerous in this match. But then North Texas kind of regroups. They don't lose their heads for once, and they come from behind a 2-1 win. And you saw, of course, your first goal from Herbert Indley, the super draft signing for FC Dallas, working on his transition down there with North Texas. Also a great goal from Theo Ferreira. Yeah,
He likes to go by Ferreira now, so another Ferreira. Not related, but
not related,
give us all your Ferreiras.
And both goals were just perseverance kind of goals of just finding a way, getting the ball in dangerous spots, and finding something poking through, kind of a thing.
Well, the Theo Ferreira goal was basically all him.
It was all him. You're right.
He got the ball, and then he bodied off a defender that was behind him. I mean, because honestly, my concern with this match was that Minnesota was being physical and was bodying a lot of the North Texas players who, frankly, most of them are younger players, not all of them, but they were struggling with the physicality of Minnesota United. And by the way, Minnesota United came in 3-0 on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Only at that time, the only undefeated, the only 3-0 team in the league, not the only team in the road league, but they were undefeated. And this is an important win for North Texas. I mean, not to take anything away from the 2 losses that they had, but they kind of tried some new formations and some new personnel in different places. They even did this game too, by the way. And it just simply backfired, not because they were punished when they made mistakes. They were playing good teams. Vancouver Whitecaps too, they're a solid team. Still no excuse that they lost in the fashion that they lost, but not surprising that they lost to that team. It's the score that surprises me, not the fact that they lost to it, because they're a dangerous team. They're going to be one of the top teams in the Western Conference this year. And then Austin, they showed that they're a good team at home. They're undefeated at home. I want to say I didn't do it this year, but I last year when the schedule came out, I looked at the schedule and gave my thoughts as to who was fortunate in their scheduling and who was not. Austin is fortunate in their scheduling. They've only played 1 road game. All their games have been at home, and they've won all their home games. So they're looking good, and clearly they're going to be a tough team to beat at home. But that's how Houston started last year. Houston started winning a lot of games at home. They had a lot of early home games, and then they built on that, and that confidence carried them throughout the season. So Minnesota United, same division as North Texas, as is Austin, and honestly, North Texas needed to beat these guys. A team that they actually handled pretty well last year, believe it or not. So not a surprise that at home North Texas beats Minnesota United, who I don't believe have gotten any points in against North Texas when North Texas. So yeah, important. Just saying, the 2 teams that they lost to, not bad teams, not unexpected losses. Just the manner in which they lost was the only shocking thing, and it's good to see the team correct that. And they did that by going back to their 4-3-3, which they did not employ in the 2 losses. 3-5 So 3-5-3? No, 3-5-2?
3-5-2, yeah.
3-5-2 in the loss. And the idea was to roll out your three center backs in Norris, Korka, and Henry, and it didn't work. I mean, they had never played together before, and maybe they've been practicing it, but when time came, it just fell apart. And then in the loss against Austin, they rolled out a 4-2-3-1, and I'm not saying that it didn't work. I'm just saying, like I said, Austin is a good team, and it backfired. So here to see them go back to their 4-3-3, and I think at times it was more of a 4-4-2. Good to see. Get back to what works, and the talent's there. It's just young talent. It's just young and inconsistent, and hiccups are going to come.
Yeah, we saw the professional debut of FC Dallas Academy kid Nairobi Vargas.
Vargas.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and he played well. He I don't know that he was on the score sheet per se, but I was able to ask him afterwards because Coach Cano raved about his performance. He came in at half and just sort of helped the team stretch. And push for that. You have that second striker up top that sort of occupy and create space for others. So just his presence helped create that possibility, that the comeback space that North Texas needed.
The team has been struggling because they haven't been getting consistent play from the left wing. And that's where Nairobi Vargas plays. So you've got a talented left winger, and that's a position where you've been struggling, and it's made you one-dimensional in attack, really. Maybe not one-dimensional, but certainly easier to defend. And it's just, you're like, you got Nairobi, play him. That's his spot, and sure enough, and mind you, while he wasn't on the scoreline, I do believe he was on. He's one of the people that was there when the tide turned. Suddenly you get a left wing that is quality, and all of a sudden your attack starts purring again. It's not a coincidence.
Good stuff.
Also, I believe the kid from that we got from El Paso got his first start. Garcia, right? Diego Garcia, and looked solid. He hit, 16-year-old kid, 16 or 17-year-old. I mean, it put in a solid shift, and that's what you want to see from when they start these teenagers. Is how are they going to hold up against a physical team like Minnesota?
Well, and I thought Norris was good in this one. I thought he was a breath of fresh air, kind of.
He was, and mind you, I want to point out that the goal that was scored was off a mistake, and it wasn't a bad mistake. It was just basically Norris. The ball was thrown to Bash, and Norris tried to head it away, and simply redirected it to an attacker. And there's nothing you can do to defend that. I mean, it just fell right in front of the guy, unmarked, clean shot. And that's just, like I said, that's just a mistake in the way he redirected it. Maybe it was bad timing or something like that. But other than that, that's all Minnesota. Minnesota, I mean, they had some counters. They had some dangerous counters, but the team was up for it otherwise. And honestly, if it wasn't for that, the way that ball was redirected, frankly, this team could have won 2-0.
Yeah. Yeah, a big result for them. I know there was just kind of that pressure released from the locker room of like, hey, we know we're a talented squad, and it feels like with these lower tiers of soccer, sometimes it's just about that savviness, it's that grit, it's just the ability to shrug off a goal, a bad situation, and keep pushing, and that comes for young guys. It just comes with experience. It comes with leadership. It's tough. Cano talked about that after the game. He just said that it seemed like when the team went down early in those other matches, they just panicked. They didn't talk to themselves, talk to each other. They didn't regroup. they just lack that ability. And in this one, they did. They came back together. They said, "Hey, we know how we're going to play. We know how we're going to move forward. Let's execute on that plan, and let's stay the course." And that was able to make it happen.
And yeah, and that's also, I mean, the panic and all that. That's on the leaders of the team. That's that would be Costa and the Haitian kid. I can't think of his name. But, the guys that have been around, even Hope. They've been there. It's been there a couple years. Those are the guys that need to step up and rein in, that panic and keep everybody focused. And we forget that they're young too, but it's a great sign. I mean, the talent's there, and let's not forget that Coach Cano, this is his first year, so he's not as familiar with the academy and all, what all the players bring to it. I'm sure he's learning, but I'm sure he doesn't know them as perfectly as he wants to. So give him time. I think he's still figuring out who can help where from the academy. Once he figures out, and mind you, we also have the GA Cup, the Dallas Cup. That also means that some of the better players were not available the past couple of weeks, so he hasn't been able to, unless he's going to the games, the GA Cup or Dallas Cup. He's not seeing these players in action. So give him time. I think once he gets comfortable with the academy players and figures out who can help where, like I said, Vargas, for example, we all know that the kid is a great talented left winger with a ton of potential, and so we're all basically saying he's on the bench. You have a hole there, plug him in, and eventually he did, and no one surprised that.
Yeah.
I believe, if I remember correctly, the goal came from the left side. The breakdown of that on that attack. So yeah, it's very happy. And like I said, give Cano time. He's still figuring it out, and all the players. There's a lot of new faces here too. So
yeah, well,
I think the team's still trying to gel to find out who belongs.
We've seen over these past few several years, that some teams in Major League Soccer have just completely devalued the Super Draft. And then meanwhile, FC Dallas takes it pretty seriously. They seem to scout on their own. They seem to be looking for a different sort of player. And even in the past few years, I mean, I'm watching Johnny Nelson just win the hearts of folks in St. Louis. This was a guy who, just because of injury, likely didn't get his next chance here, but was with the team. Even Bartlett, who's getting some minutes with St. Louis as well. It's so fascinating. But here comes the next guy, Herbert Indley, and he has been playing a lot of minutes for North Texas. They're working him in on that right back. But he was so dangerous in this match. He was so interesting, and he played higher up, right?
Yeah, the interesting part is that they moved him back to right wing instead of what people would have said they would transition into right back. But he didn't start there. And they moved him up higher, and it paid off. He played his goal. And I think FC Dallas is much like they did with Parker. Parker actually played while he was transitioning. He still did play some left wing at the time. And so I think anyway, this is hey, let's get his confidence back. He's clearly not. It's going to take longer for him to transition. And who knows? Maybe if he keeps performing like he did at right wing, maybe they'll give up on converting him to right back and say, hey, let him play his best spot. I mean, we need help on the wings.
We do.
Depth-wise. So,
yeah,
especially, let him play.
I mean, if Kamungo can keep doing some things, it's a huge benefit to this team. Because I think we have a drop-off with Obrian right now. I don't think Obrian's in his best form of his life, but not getting a lot of minutes, so we understand that. But you want some guys on the bench you can turn to.
Obrian has his uses, and when you're playing a team that's basically just gonna low block you to death and or save the game, Like when he came in his last game, the team was trying to hold on to it. You need that guy that can stretch the defense and keep them honest. So he's got a one dimension and it's serviceable. And I myself am disappointed that he hasn't been able to add more, you know, um, improve in other areas. Although he does try, I'll give him that, but he's just not there. So you need a player like Kamungo who can match him on speed, but seems to have just a little bit more once he gets into the final third. And that's, but he's young and he's raw, and it's going to take time. And so, yeah, you want that. You want to see that. There's a big step from, North Texas straight to FC Dallas. And that's the one thing that I think we're all basically saying, well, like Parker's gone off to San Antonio. And while part of me is happy with that, the recent loans to the championship haven't really panned out for us. Nico Hernandez was with San Antonio; he's no longer with the team. Before that, you had Montgomery, who had been loaned out, no longer with the team, and so on and so forth. So it makes sense to send players to the championship, but oftentimes it's better results to give directly from North Texas right to the senior team. And that's because these players are practicing the senior team while they're at North Texas. And that's immensely more beneficial to them, especially if they get on some of those minutes than going to the USL Championship team.
Well, good stuff. And another shout out, by the way, to the crowd for the North Texas game. A lot of, I think it was girls soccer teams. I'm not sure, but they were clearly heard on the broadcast saying, "Let's go Texas." And I know it makes a difference to its home team when they have that kind of support, especially.
And North Texas, I mean, they don't get credit for it, but they're a team that averages about 2,000 people. That stadium wasn't so big. If it was a smaller, more intimate stadium, that stadium would be a lot louder and it would be a more impressive crowd. Let's say it was a 5,000 seat stadium and you get it half filled. That's it. That would resonate more than right now. You're playing on a 40,000 seat stadium. You got 2,000. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of people there.
Right.
But there is a lot of people for. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I know that North Texas is one of the highest attended teams in all the resort teams. Attendance-wise, they have been dating back to the USL League One days. They've always been in the 1,500 to 2,000, while most two teams struggle to get anywhere near 1,000.
Yeah.
But on a regular basis.
Well, maybe we'll leave the conversation here. It was another great, interesting weekend of soccer. There'll be a lot to unpack as we go forward. But go ahead, Jose.
One last thing, congratulations to Paxton Pomco for getting called up. Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm sad that it's at Paul Arriola's expense, but it's nice to have an FCB player replace an FCB player. So, I'm just excited to see Paxton get a chance. Let's see what he does with it. But I would love to see him and Jesus combine against Mexico. Anyone trying to downplay the game, it's Mexico. You don't like to lose to them, even if you're playing a pickup game. Even if there's no stakes and there's no crowd and you're just scrimmaging, you don't want to lose to those guys ever. So yeah, let's get that W. Let's find a way. I don't really care who's out there representing the U.S. Just don't lose to Mexico.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, and congratulations to Marco Farfan. He was named as part of the team of the week for Major League Soccer, and that's good credits for a guy who's kind of goes unsung at times. And FC Dallas has two away matches coming up in consecutive weeks. They play New York City FC, which is always a challenging place to play. Postage stamp field.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot more of that mid block that you saw because field is so small, you're going to have to pack it in and force them to try to score.
Then they'll go up to Minnesota. So it'll be an interesting week, a couple of weeks, to see how FC Dallas just continues to improve. And I think that's what I think that's what the coach, what the team want to keep doing, is just, hey, let's keep figuring out how to get positive results.
So
yeah.
I mean, we can get a point. Try to come out there. If we get a loss and a win, I'm happy. Otherwise, 2 draws would be ideal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one last thing, North Texas plays Friday against RSL. RSL is a bad team. And they're not bad because they don't have talent. They're bad because they play an extremely young lineup. They throw the kids out to the wolves. And that's a team that you can, just like FC Dallas, like North Texas lost those games, 4-1, 3-1, 4-2, whatever it was high score. RSL is prone to, Real Monarchs are prone to those kind of losses. Not saying that they can't win. I mean, they are at home. But this is a team that if North Texas has found a group, should beat. And home or on the road. Because RSL is, North Texas is one of the youngest teams in the league, and RSL is even younger.
Good stuff. Well, all right, we'll leave it there. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Of course, you can always subscribe and follow along at afterburn.soccer. We're now on Substack, and we appreciate your support, your listening. I know we get a few comments every week from folks who listen. They can't make it live, but listen in, and so appreciate our analysis and everything. Jose, thank you for your time.
Thanks,
Let's go FC Dallas.
Thank you, everybody.